Back with another interview with Wyatt and Julian, and in this one we're talking about, I actually brought up the topic, guys, heard you talking about it, wanted to bring it up to them, about two-handed weapons inside of Diablo Immortal. As we saw from the technical alpha, every single class, including the Barbarian, had a dual wielding mechanic to them. They either had a weapon in each hand or some type of a spell or magical thing in one handed with a weapon in the other, but there were no two-handed weapons where you could have a bigger, larger, stronger, and slower weapon to do damage. And a lot of people that were especially fans of the Barbarian really felt like they wanted to see something like that. I have to personally say I didn't feel like my weapons were ever too weak. Now, I also do very openly welcome the idea of having solo weapons as well, being able to have two hands on one grip and just dominate, really do some big damage. But I got to speak with Julian, I got to speak with Wyatt, and they discussed that topic. Tell me about larger two-handed weapons. This is something that came up so many times when I was playing. Every character has a weapon in each hand, but there's no solo weapons that you're going to two-hand. Is that something that we're going to see in the game? If not, what's your reasoning behind not implementing something like that?
Have we spoken about our intentions around that before?
We haven't. I can tell you that that was a discussion, a heavy topic of discussion internally in the team. We went with the decision to do everything as like dual one-handers. Well, I guess basically something in your main hand and something in your offhand. In the case of like the Wizard and the Crusader, you don't have a weapon in each hand, but you still have an item in each hand.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that to sort of just make the itemization consistent between all the characters and to simplify sort of like equipping and unequipping. But we do feel like, particularly in the case of the Barbarian, where for some people, man, the Barbarian iconic fantasy is wielding, a giant two-hander. And so I think that post-launch, we could examine, or like we're open to adding two-handed. I shouldn't even say we're open. We would love to add two-handers. It is not on the roadmap for ship, but something that we'd love to find a way to work into the game later. And we have lots of ideas for post-ship, by the way.
Yeah, and I love that. And that's something else that I've been kind of preaching. There's so many ideas. Everything doesn't need to go into that initial launch of the game. Like being able to add content patches over time, or even testing things out through different events is, in my opinion, a great idea. So there we go, guys. And just to accompany this discussion, I figured it was appropriate for me to bring my Barbarian class gameplay, which was actually my favorite class inside of the technical alpha for Diablo Immortal. I didn't ever expect to fall in love with the Barbarian the way that I did, but as you know, I did. But let's talk about what was said. Julian first mentions that, do they know if they actually spoke about this publicly yet? And Wyatt confirmed that no, they hadn't, which makes it a perfect question for an interview, right? It's something that you guys are gonna be able to hear that we haven't heard before. We've speculated and said, are they gonna have, like two-handed weapons, or are they not? We didn't see it in the technical alpha. And from the interview, that is not in the plan for release of Diablo Immortal, but also they did say they do like the idea of it. The reason that they aren't doing it is for balancing, I guess. It's probably easier to develop every character having to hold two things rather than every character being different. Some having two-handed weapons, some having solo weapons, or one character being able to have a weapon in each hand or a two-handed weapon. It adds another level of dynamic, I guess, to the development of the game, which I was happy to hear that they're open to, because as we always say, we want to see diversity. We want to see things changing inside of the game. When Diablo Immortal releases, I would love it if it only released with dual wielded weapons, which means you'll have a weapon in your right and a weapon in your left. And that could be either a weapon or some type of a spell, depending on your class. But it would be really cool if 6 months down the line, if they introduced for each character class, maybe, or maybe just for the tankier classes, let's just say the Barbarian, for example, a legendary axe that comes to the scene that is able to be that is a two-handed axe that's just super mega powerful. And on top of that, you're only able to carry one thing. That will change your weapon loadout, but it could easily be fixed with an X across across the slot that's not going to be used because both of the hands would be on that one axe. I like the idea of modifying things once the game is released. And that's something that I mentioned, as you guys heard from the interview. Everything doesn't have to launch with Diablo Immortal, right? We could get Diablo Immortal with this game mode, this game mode, this game mode, this class, this class, this class, and these weapons. And then later on, more things can be added. And that's something that's going to be really exciting. And that could bring, you know, that could keep bringing people back. Maybe they get bored with the campaign. They don't want to do anymore. This will bring them back to it so that they can get more involved inside of the game and just kind of, you know, feel like, oh, there's something new. Let me log back in because I haven't logged in for a week. Let me log back in and see. I know there are going to be players that log in every single day. I'm obviously going to be one of them. Not only am I going to be logged in every single day, I'm going to probably stay logged in. With that being said, a really cool feature that I'm just recalling now from the technical alpha is if you keep it on, you're in, you're on. It doesn't time out. It doesn't put you anywhere. You will stay there in the world. If you're in West March, you'll stay there. And a lot of times, if you don't manually log out, you will still be online. So for example, there were many times where I saw Nemo standing there in West March in the middle of the hall, just standing there because he never actually logged out. So his character was there inside of the game when if he were to come back online, he would be right there, even if it were an hour or two later. So that was always something that's pretty cool, really easy. If you don't want to stay alive, you just kind of log out completely and you'll be out. But you can keep things on, which is really cool. But two-handed weapons, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that having a weapon that's bigger, that's obviously going to be slower, but also obviously stronger, is something that you would want in your barbarian class, maybe in your crusader class, or maybe even in a monk class? Although I feel like with the monk, you'd want to keep that agility. You'd want to still be really fast. I know me personally, I wouldn't want to slow things down with the monk class just because I wanted to have a stronger weapon. Now the barbarian, I would take a step or two in slowing to have a stronger weapon. And that would be really cool if we could see that. I don't know if I'm going to like it better or not, but I do like the option to be able to do that type of thing. So as always, I want you guys to sound off below. It's actually unbelievable to me how awesome you guys have been on Discord. If you yet haven't been to my Discord, make sure you come on through because we are building a massive community there. It's actually my most popular thread within the Discord server is everyone talking about Diablo Immortal. And remember, if you want to be inside of me and Scrappy Academy's guild when the game does launch globally, you have to be a part of the Discord server and really build a relationship with us because we have so many people that want to join us. We're only going to be able to take the top 150 that we know, that we're familiar with, and that are here supporting both his and my content. There it is, guys. Two-handed weapons. Do you think that they skated around the answer in their interview, or do you think they hit it head on? I think they did a pretty nice job, as they actually did with all the other interview questions. This is probably my 5th interview that I've put out, and I have, as I look at my notes, 2 more to go following this one, and then my interview will be cut up and you will have heard everything that I know that you don't yet know about Diablo Immortal. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sub, ring the bell, do all that great stuff, and remember, keep it locked every single day. Be good.